All right, now that we um, know the navigation inside the 3D code, let's go and sculpt a little bit and know our sculpting tools. So the same deal, new project. So I'm gonna click on the voxel sculpting and grab one of these pre-made spheres. As I said before, I'm moving with the tip of my pen or left click, right click outside of the model for zoom, and middle click for pan. If I wanted to go on top of the model and zoom, I need to grab the alt as well, also for more rotating and panning. So that's that. Here inside the sculpt 3 we have voxel sculpting, and voxels basically are the 3D cubes that stacked on top of each other and make this model. So if I go all the way in close to the model and hit W for wireframe, those are voxels that you're seeing right there. Let me disable the grid and sculpt a little bit with maybe voxel or pet clay. If I sculpt now, I'm changing the, as you can see in the silhouette of the model, I'm changing the shape of those voxels or 3D pixels. Also, another thing's happening down here. As you can see, this down bar, it says over 20,000 triangles. It's going to count triangles, so don't mind that. As I sculpting, pay attention to that number. It's going to increase that number. It's going to make triangles based on that voxel, those voxel sculptings or 3D pixels, and increase the resolution. So I am making the model density denser and denser by sculpting. So I'm not gonna lose any quality, but the quality it's determined by the layer quality. Right now I am in level 1 subdivision. So if I wanted to have more quality, I need to go down here to the sculpt tree and this button, the res up or increase resolution. If I hit that, now I'm in second layer or second subdivision level. Down here, I'm close to 1 million triangle. So now if I sculpt with this more powerful brush, as you can see here, I have a little bit more quality. So let's hit the res up one more time. Now I'm in 4 level of subdivision and almost 4 million for this simple sphere. So now if I sculpt, it's getting more and more quality. If I wanted to go back in the resolution or step down, I need to go and resample this sphere. So how we do is going to left hand side sidebar all the way down to the resample button, or simply hit space and down here resample. This is my current resolution or triangle count. So you have an option to resample quality. I mean good quality, linear, rough, and smooth. Can change between them. Also, you have your input value or custom input value for your triangle count. So if I go and click that and maybe input 1000, okay, and hit OK, it's gonna grab that volume or that layer and step down the polygon count or triangle count to 0.1. This is too low, but it's easier for sculpting. So if I go back to, for example, some of these brushes, as you can see, almost nothing is happening because it's too low quality. Step up is to go with the res up 0.5. 1, it's not gonna say 1, 2, and back to 4. And it's a little bit lower than before. So now if I sculpt, as you can see, we have some quality going on. All right. Now, the other thing inside the sculpture that's important is switching between voxel sculpting or volumetric sculpting to surface sculpting. Until now, we'll sculpt the voxel sculpting, and it's adapting itself to the sample or triangle count to the sculpt. So if I wanted to add fine details with the voxel sculpting, I need to go really high in subdivision level or triangle count. So to avoid that, we have something called surface sculpting. And surface sculpting is how ZBrush works. So if I switch to surface sculpting, it's just ZBrush now. And I can add my fine details by increasing and decreasing the subdivision level just like ZBrush, but no adaptive increasing the triangle. We don't have that option in surface sculpting, only in voxel sculpting. So keep that in mind. The voxel sculpting is only for reaching the base shape, not the fine details. So if I wanted to add fine details, I need to go hit this V. You can see right here. Oh, let's discuss this 3 buttons up here. We have visibility, ghost, and voxel surface. Nothing special. If I click on voxel or V, it's going to change to S, and that indicate the surface sculpting. We are in surface sculpting, so the same subdivision level but surface. Now if I start sculpting, pay attention to the triangle count. It's not gonna go any higher than that. And if I keep sculpting and keep pushing that, it's gonna eventually break. And let me hit W, and quality will be less and less and poor. All right, W again. Compare these two parts together. This is voxel sculpting, this is surface sculpting. But don't worry, if you ever change your mind and wanted to go back to voxel sculpting, just click on the surface. It's gonna present a window and required polycount. If this software wanted to convert the surface to voxel, it need more triangles. You're sculpted here, so you need more quality. It's gonna suggest the almost 5 million. All right, and auto close hole if you accidentally make any hole inside the model. All right, so okay, and give it a time. Now it's almost 5 million. If I sculpt now with the voxel brushes, it's gonna go even higher. All right, that's good. That's the principle of the 3D CAD, and that's how 3D CAD works. All right, now let's discuss a little bit on the brushes and the brush system. Left hand side, our brushes are located. The first section is ClyEngine, and you can close them, by the way. The first section is ClyEngine. This is a new ClyEngine, and it's a combination between voxel brushes, the second section, voxel brushes, old voxels, and surface capable brushes. So this is new to, I guess, 2021 and above. Can't remember right now. And those are really nice brushes. The base brush here, as you can see, it has some options such as brush stroke, rotate alpha, long brush, brush actual alpha rotation, and build up speed and jitter, and sampling, and all of that good stuff that we gonna work with in this course a lot. And VetCly, the options are closed, but you can open up the parameters. Voxel pinch, as you can see, it's gonna pinch just like you see in ZBrush or any other software, and close the voxels together to make a tight ding effect, as you say. And voxel pinch, that was a smart pinch. This is pinch, it's gonna carve in. And also, just like ZBrush, we have a reverse bottom as well. So if I hold Control, I can sculpt out, and no control, sculpt or pinch in. And let's see that on VetCly as well. Sculpt out, hold Control, the brush is gonna be bluish, and now I can carve in based on my brush power or brush depth intensity. Also, we have a smooth as well inside 3D CAD. You can hold Shift and smooth the sculpted area. You have your own control here as well. So let's go for usual Cly. Nothing special, just a little bit of change to the settings. Voxel flatten, that's an interesting brush. It's gonna flat the voxels and have this nicely nice effect on top of the edges. Soft Cly, let me change the brush tip to default. as the name indicates, it's gonna make a soft glide extrude. Next, thick layer. The name says everything, and the extruder, just like the thick, but a little bit nicer and softer. Voxel buildup, I'm gonna use that quite a lot. That's an extruder, but a little bit nicer. Alright, before go to voxel tools, let me discuss one more thing. That's an important thing for the brush system and sculpting, and that would be our E panel. And E panel, as the name indicates, it's gonna show up by hitting E. The E panel actually is your brush tip or brush stroke. You have several curves, a stamp, a spray thing, absolute brush right here, and your smooth brushes. If I select the first brush and let me switch to, for example, extruder. Change the brush to first one. It's gonna respect the pressure of your brush. If I brush softly, then push hard, it's gonna make that wider. By the way, here, this is autosave right here, this red countdown. It's gonna save in 20 seconds. And the other brushes, this is absolute, and both sides, start and end, will be this, will have the same size. All right, and this, yeah, 1, 2, 3. This 3 are basically the first one with a little bit of changing in the size. Also, with almost any brush, you can use curve to carve in or out. So if I use, for example, this curve and I start building, then hit enter. As you can see, I sculpt based on that curve, and this little menu is gonna have some option for that curve, apply, clear, and edit pressure on all of that good stuff. So clear. All right, and your selections, as you can see, it's gonna work just like a regular brush with selection this time. If I switch to, for example, lasso, vertex lasso, and add some points, it's gonna push that up based on your brush depth. Don't forget that. If I increase my brush depth, it's gonna be something like this. And with the voxel, so where is it? The voxel flatten and right brush tip, I can actually let's see, voxel flatten is selected. Oh, I have my study stroke enabled, so let's disable that and see. Let's make any changes. Sometimes when you're so close, you're so close to the mesh, it's not gonna work that perfectly. That's a bug. I'm sure they're gonna fix that as well. So now it's working. Yeah, you can sculpt all the way. Smooth the base. All right. So you have your E panel, and you can sculpt with the selection as well. So that's a good option to have. Another important brush would be the fill brush, and fill brush is an interesting brush. If you have something like this hole, you can actually fill that with the fill brush. If I sculpt on top of any holes based on my brush strength, it's gonna fill that void. Also, you have another option to fill any void that you can't see actually. Here, right click on your brush, your layer, your volume, and choose fill void. It's gonna count your voids and fill them for you. All right, next brush or next section. Oh, next brush is scrap. This is the nice brush. It's some kind of flattened brush, but really nice and real world. You can have a real world clay sculpting experience with this brush. It's a nice brush. This is the best brush that 3D Coat has. So nice. Also, the holding control is gonna bring back the data. So next section is surface brushes. These surface brushes actually gonna work with the voxel layer, but not that good. I'm not using that more often, just to fill and inflate in some areas. As you can see, it's gonna break the mesh. But if you switch to voxel and start sculpting, it's gonna fill that void. So not that good. Perfect. Down here we have adjust, and I guess the only thing we're gonna work here with is the voxel height, and that's gonna hide the voxels as the name says. So let me resample this mass by hitting space, resample, and bring that back to, for example, 1 million. Okay, and okay. It's gonna bring that back to almost 1 million and 2x subdivision level. So that's gonna be good for this brush. So if I enable the voxel height, just like any other brush, if I choose a brush tip, start sculpting, as you can see, something really weird happening. I'm actually hiding voxels or hiding the mesh, carving inside the mesh. This is really trippy. So first of all of your brush tips are gonna work with this brush as well. So if I go to lasso and carve that, I can hide some part of my model. And I say hide, not cut. This is actually hiding the model. If I hold Control, the reverse button, and back, it's gonna bring back the hide or hidden meshes. Just like that. And look like nothing happened. So Something important inside ePanel, you have your depth limit. If I enable my depth limit and with the lasso sculpt, as you can see, I'm hiding, but with an depth limit of 30 units. So keep that in mind. Sometime you might need to check or uncheck that. And for this voxel height brush, another thing that's really important is located inside geometry menu. Here you have option over clear deselection or hiding. You can option over the invert the height here, or delete the hidden parts, or even separate the hidden parts. Let me hit separate, and it's gonna make 2 volumes. Right here, if I disable that, visible, invisible, as you can see, it's cutting and separating. That's a nice brush to have. So next we have our transform brushes. We have our regular transform with several options. That's gonna give us a gizmo that you can move the mesh by using that. We have several options inside. Drop down, we have Q for all control, scale, move and rotation by using these handles, or rotate based on your camera by using this out highlighted circle. If I change the camera, it's gonna face the camera no matter what, so can rotate that based on your camera. And align to view, that's gonna align the gizmo to view, and to the center mass, it's gonna go all the way to the center of your object, or reset axis to the vert axis, and reset the space and all of that good stuff. Also, I forgot to mention that if you rotate your model or your canvas and hold shift, just like ZBrush, it's gonna snap to that camera. As you can see, left, top, and front. Right, now the move brush. Move brush, it's a brush for moving. Name says everything. You can move your mesh by using this brush. Also, there's an option that I always uncheck. That's annoying. You might like it. Up here we have auto pick. If I hover over another part of the model or another volume and click, I can select that automatically. You see what I mean? Here, I wanted to move this one, but if I accidentally click that, it's gonna switch to that model. You can have custom key or key combination for this one as well. And the key combination or hotkeys, it's possible by hovering over any options. As you can see, if I hover over any options and hold for a second, it says end key to define hotkey. So if I hit end and add a hotkey, it's gonna add that hotkey to that option. And if that hotkey that you selected, you choose, is used before, it's have an option to stack them on top of each other. So if you select your hotkey one time, it's doing one thing, and second time it's gonna go and have the second option. So That's the move brush. It's unchecked. Another thing is the primitives. Let me create a new layer, and when I select a layer and can create another layer, it's gonna inherit the volume triangle or volume density. Let me disable that. If I go and click primitives, it's gonna present me with the pre-built primitives, but this primitive that it's creating right here, it's not committed to the layer yet. This is a dummy until you hit apply. So if I hit apply, now I have my primitive created, but the hollow is still there. So if I move that out, this is committed, this is not. So let's work with this one as well. So if I wanted to make a complex shape by using Boolean, the Boolean system, I can use the primitives and this option beside the apply button. This is add. If I hit apply, the same layer, apply, it's gonna combine those two together. Let me make this smaller by this gizmo, or down here the radius. Move it out. All right, now if I switch to subtract and hit apply, it's gonna subtract that from the previous sphere. Also intersect, apply. Yeah, kind of same deal. And yeah, we're gonna work with the primitives as well, a little bit more. And one thing, oh yeah, you need to switch to another brush to get rid of the primitive preview. And one more thing, let me see the brushes. A tube muscle, it's gonna make muscle or mesh based on your brush size. That's a really good brush to have for muscles. And spikes, it has a smoothing speed built in. You can bring that down, and yeah, something like that. And one more important thing before starting our project is the symmetry. So if I hit S, it's gonna bring this symmetry option. You have your symmetry in X, Y, and Z. You have your option to pick from bounding box, the mesh, the local, and reset the symmetry plans. Also, change the symmetry type to, for example, radius, and change the radius, for example, to 10. Okay, now let me go to a brush, for example, extrude, and start not with this tip, start making radial wow, that looks like a nuclear explosion. And yeah, that's that symmetry for you. All right, switch back and disable symmetry. I guess there's nothing left, so let's get started with our project. See you next part.